So this is a quick rundown of my pedal board as I've recently updated it. Anybody that saw my previous setup will notice that the Digitech Whammy has disappeared. The Whammy has been replaced because it had a big footprint. I could replace it with a fair few things. A Reverb Empress, a 10-band EQ, an MXR EQ, a Strymon OB1, which I recently picked up because Strymon announced that they can't make any more of them because the optical bit of the optical compressor, I don't know, some part they can't get hold of very easily. They're not making them anymore. And the Digitech Drop to do the function that the Whammy DT did to drop tune, they went American there, tune for different songs like Queen of the Stone Age, what's it called? No One Knows, Queen of the Stone Age. That's one that I play in a band, so I needed that. Other than that, I've replaced the tuner with the Sonic Research one that everybody raves on about because that one's good apparently. And I've added a ditto looper. I had no room, so I've put it on the Gigrig itself, which kind of stops me getting to the last two buttons, but I never used all the presets anyway, so that doesn't really bother me. I like the functionality of it. I'm still getting to grips with it. I'm a bit useless with it at the moment. And on the second tier, it's largely the same as before, I think. Digital delay with the Strymon, analog delay with the Memory Man, a Phase 90, a Dynacomp, and an Analog Man chorus. So yeah, that's it. It's all a modular power supply. And the overdrive I run is the Gemini distortion, the Steve Vai one. So the kind of as plain as I get is with the reverb, and with the cleans I tend to use this room reverb. And that's with the OB1 on. So if I take it off, I'll just show you. It's off. It really thins it out a lot when it's not there, you know, you can really tell. Then it's back in. Obviously as a compressor it does smooth out the volume, but it also has this weird effect of giving the sound a lot of body. It doesn't have an odd volume hump at all, which the Dynacomp kind of does, which isn't a bad thing in and of itself. It's getting a bit noisy, I don't think I've got it set right. Eesh. Knock it down a little bit. Which isn't a bad thing, you can use it for, you know, useful stuff. If you want that volume hump, or if you turn the sensitivity up a fair way, you get that kind of pop. But if you don't want that pop, and you want something that's just really natural sounding, the OB1 is great. And just to play the same riff, you know. You don't even want to play it like that. You don't even want to pop it. You want to. But you know when you play without a compressor generally, and you play some clean melodies, you like the tone of it, but they pop out of the amp and they tear your head off, especially with that kind of a Fendery. The OB1 sorts it all out. It retains all of your tonal qualities, but makes it listenable because of the compression. Anyway, it's not just a Strymon review. The next preset along, I add in a loop of So I took off the reverb because it just gets too much otherwise. I've added a Strymon digital delay, the Memory Man analog delay, and the chorus. And the Memory Man and the chorus in the same loop because I never really used them individually, and I needed to save a loop because I'd run out. There's only 10. Say only 10. There's plenty. There's loads of pedals on this board, and it's amazing that I've managed to get it into such a small footprint, and that's the beauty of this Schmidt Array case and the functionality of the G2, the Gigrig unit. This kind of chimey atmospheric quality, it's great for that kind of, dare I say, Eric Johnson. And the OB1 is still engaged on this. That's pretty cool. So on to the next thing. I guess that's enough cleans for now. Overdrive stuff. I don't use this reverb. I'm back on the reverb, but I use a plate reverb for this one. I love this sound. It's just the Overdrive channel on the Legacy with an EP booster and the reverb, and that's it. It's such a simple sound. It's great. It's just like a great in-between because you can do all that lead stuff with, and this is quite a lot again, a lot for some people and not so much for other people, but I'd say this is quite a bit again. But it's only so much, you can still roll it back, and if I roll back the volume on the guitar, some people would call that clean, a push, some people would call it a crunch, and if you put it on split pickup, for example, there's a bit of breakup still, but you could pass that as a clean tone in some sense. Bring it up a bit. You know, kind of crunchy, kind of, you know, rainbow, bit of kind of Blackmore. Carried away, but yeah, that's cool. That's cool. And I used to play with a lot of delay. I'll show you the delayed sound now. Same thing. Strymon dig kicked in. The dig is trying to say that 10 times fast. The dig delay is set to such a level that there's one delay, and then the second delay obviously it's dual delay, but the second one is slightly staggered because the second one is at a kind of higher mix, and you can hear it come in quite. It just gives it a bit of a washed out sound, which I like. But I don't use the delayed sound as much anymore. I used to play with delay all the time, basically on a Overdrive channel when I was doing lead work, melody work, sometimes even rhythm work. And now I've really fallen in love with just the reverb, kind of a drier sound, because all that picking definition. Saying that kind of a weird melody, you know, your ear's not picking it up as easily because it's kind of harmonic minor, but you also had a cheeky flat 5 in there for no reason. Nasty. But if you do that with the just the reverb, and I'll kick in the overdrive now just to spice things up. This should make it even muddier, you know, more again. You haven't really lost anything from the delay, you know. The delay kind of makes things. It doesn't play any easier because it's just adding more of the same of what you've done, but it makes it feel a little bit more fluid. I think it's a psychological thing. People feel more comfortable with delay sometimes. But if you can get past that, a good reverb doesn't take that away. This feels very fluid to play. But it sounds so, you know, well defined for some quick stuff. I'm no Yngwie, but you can pull that stuff off better, I think, with no delay. He doesn't often use a delay, especially on the older records of his. So that's kind of cool. But yeah, the note definition's there, and it almost seems a kind of a shame for such a nice, natural amp sound to be covered over with delay. However, not taken away from delay, it's great. Like the kind of squeal you get, you know, compare. When you add more of that same signal on top of each other. that's cool too. You can see why Gary Moore did it. It makes it really sing, which is very cool. So that's kind of my two basic sounds really. I don't really do much else apart from the EQ, which you'll notice I've not used yet. I put into this preset 3 when I want to pretend that I'm a metal guitar player. Still trying to work out what to do with it really, 'cause it sounds kind of woofy. But the reason I like doing it that way around, rather than, say this way around, I mean, take the standard sound of the amp and EQ it, rather than use the red side of the overdrive, which I'm a little bit sad I'm not using that bit of real estate of the second half of the Gemini, but I just like using the green side. But let's put it onto a clean channel, use the red side. It's just a different sound. Put the EQ in. That to me is too much on the top end for lead stuff. Sounds pretty cool for rhythm stuff, but not enough different for rhythm stuff, and not even necessarily better. You know what I mean? So you get plenty of note definition by scooping out the mids and rolling off some of the bass. Which is really the only problem, if you can call it a problem, that the Carvin has, is that the bass is so woofy and the bottom end so loose, which is nice for that kind. Obviously, the Vi sound, that's what he's going for when you're playing all that juicy lead stuff. It's that on the low end. What's that? The "For the Love of God" bit at the end. Something like that. Anyway, you need that for that. But when you are playing this. You need that bass to disappear, and the mids to disappear, the low mids. This is a very low mid voiced amp, you know, not too dissimilar from the dark Cousins amps. I don't know, Brogner Ecstasy, Buddha amps are quite dark sounding. I think there were some guys from Mesa Boogie who did Buddha, but you know, that kind of thing. This with an EQ you can rectify that stuff, no pun intended, Mesa Boogie, and get the kind of sound you want without changing amps. Having it on the same board, it's pretty decent. Anyway, enough of me playing songs I can't remember how to play. Hope you like my pedal board. I'm gonna get some cool sounds out of it and do some rehearsal. See you later.